Welcome. Today, we're going to jump into a topic that, most of us feel like we have a pretty good handle on, the whole faith versus religion thing. But what if I told you that according to the source material we're looking at, we've had it all wrong this whole time? Okay, let's dive into this and explore a really fascinating new definition. So our journey today starts with a famous question that was never really answered. The late Samsung chairman, Lee Byung-chul, a true titan of industry, spent his life wondering, what is religion? He searched and searched for an answer, right up until the end, but he never found one that really satisfied him. Well, this explainer, drawing from our source, is going to try and provide that missing answer. So here's our game plan. First, we'll look at why that question was so tough to begin with. Then, we'll get into the crucial difference between faith and religion. After that, we'll explore some pretty mind-bending ideas about gods and something called quantum energy. Then we'll talk about why this is all so important right now and wrap up with what our source says about a leader's responsibility in all this. Okay, so why was Chairman Lee's question so hard to answer? Well, according to our source, it's because the thing humanity has been doing for thousands of years, the thing we've been calling religion, isn't actually religion at all. It's been something else entirely. And that fundamental mix-up is exactly why the true definition has been so hard to pin down. This brings us right to the heart of the matter. The source makes a really clear distinction between two key concepts. First, there's faith, which is all about personal belief and trust. Then there's religion, which is presented as something more like the highest study or the principal teaching. The main point here, they are not the same thing, and figuring out that difference is the key to unlocking this whole idea. So let's start with faith. Our source defines faith as simply the act of asking for help. When we hit a wall, when we're struggling with something that's just too big for us to handle on our own, we turn to some kind of higher power for support. That act of asking, of praying, of depending on something bigger than ourselves, that is the essence of faith. Now here's where it gets really interesting, especially when you compare it to religion. In this viewpoint, religion isn't about asking for help at all. It's a much more advanced intellectual journey, almost like a philosophy or a science. It's the search for truth, which is defined here as understanding the basic fundamental laws of nature. And get this, it's something you only move on to after you've already built up a foundation of knowledge. And this just lays it all out so clearly, doesn't it? Look at the motives. Faith is driven by needing help. Religion is driven by a thirst for understanding. The actions are completely different too, praying and asking for help versus studying and researching. And the starting point? Faith is born from hardship, but religion demands you already have knowledge before you can even begin. So the big takeaway is this. One is a plea, the other is a study. So if faith is us pleading to a higher power, what exactly is that power? This is where the source's ideas get really fascinating, because they connect all of this spiritual stuff directly to the basic mechanics of how the cosmos works. According to the source, the things we call gods, and even big concepts like knowledge and truth itself, are all just different forms of one single basic thing. The source gives it a name, quantum energy. Now, just to be clear, they're not talking about quantum physics here. It's a special term they use for the primary energy of existence. So, in this view, gods aren't beings. They're huge fields of this unique energy. Now, this is a pretty wild idea. The source claims that only human beings can actually produce this quantum energy. We literally generate it with our thoughts and our actions. And as we create more and more of it, it builds up and becomes what we call knowledge. Then, when that knowledge hits a certain critical mass, a certain level of quality, it matures and transforms into what this framework calls truth, the absolute highest form of this energy. So why is this all so important right here, right now? Well, the source argues that humanity is standing at a major turning point in history. This isn't just some abstract idea. It's seen as something with immediate, urgent consequences for our collective future. You see, for thousands of years, we've been living in the era of faith. Our whole existence has been defined by seeking help. But the claim is that era is coming to an end. We are right now, today, in a period of transition. The next step for humanity's evolution is to move past faith and begin the real work of religion, which is the study of truth. A true religion, from this perspective, hasn't even emerged yet in all of human history. Now, this big shift, it's not guaranteed to go smoothly. The stakes are incredibly high, and the source puts the weight of navigating this change squarely on the shoulders of a very specific group of people. And the warning is pretty blunt. If humanity fails to make this leap from faith to religion, if we just keep wandering around without actively seeking truth, the result will be global chaos, a world that's a total mess. So who has to lead the charge? The source uses some traditional terms here like heavenly descendants or hongik ingan, but the idea is universal. We're talking about the spiritual and intellectual leaders of humanity. Their one job, their mission, is to find the truth, those laws of nature, and teach it to everyone. And if they fail, the source warns that they will be the very first to suffer the consequences of the chaos they let happen. And that brings us to the very end, to a question that turns this whole thing right back around to you. After hearing this whole perspective, it really becomes personal. In your own life, in your own search for answers, which path are you on? Are you seeking help, or are you seeking truth? It's a question that really challenges you to think about your own journey, and it's definitely something worth pondering. Thanks for listening.